So I want to talk in this segment about how you can use the power of relationship to help people heal. Most traumatic experiences either occur in relationship, and if they don't, relationship is certainly involved after the fact. I mean, hurricanes, the relationship with Mother Nature, that's iffy. But we know that if you're caught in a hurricane, if your house is damaged, you're going to have to deal with insurance adjusters and maybe FEMA and possibly the Red Cross and who knows who else. So relationships are even involved there. Traumatic experiences most often involve relationships, and they are best healed in relationships. Now, the folks who have special expertise in relationships are typically people in the helping professions. And so one of the challenges that we have is, how do we use relationship at its most basic human level to help others heal? Well, here are a couple of hints. First of all, suspend your labeling. A diagnosis is a wonderful thing for people to have sometimes, especially if somebody has to get paid for providing services. Otherwise, it may be as much of a burden as it is a blessing to folks. It may become an identity by which they live, depriving themselves of the opportunity to learn other skills in relationship that are important to them. It may become something that prevents them from getting jobs or housing, or that causes other people to turn away from them. So learning how do we live with each other in ways that are kind and compassionate, that also comprehend the impact of overwhelming experiences, become important. If you are in a situation with someone who's behaving in a way that is off-putting or distressing, looking at that behavior and asking yourself, I wonder how this behavior helps, which is a classic question in relational cultural theory, is an important question. I wonder how this behavior is useful to that person. And by the way, the answer is not, oh, it gets them anything they want. That's a relationship-based answer. That's an answer that says more about you than it does about them. The child who cries every morning when they're about to go to school, well, it's easy to think they're just being a spoiled brat, or they don't really want to go to school, or they're terribly bad, ill-behaved. In fact, it may be that they haven't yet learned how to change their connection as they go to school. And most of the time in our lives, when we are wrestling with behavior related to coming and going, children who are going to college or leaving home, or adults who are getting divorces, it's how do we change our connection with people around us that we don't know so much about how to do. We know how to have conflict and end things. We know how to behave in ways that are distressing and get attention. What we're learning is, how do we get those needs met in ways that are different? How do we help kids who are going away to college change how they relate to the parents and the siblings that are not going to college? How do we help the husband and the wife who can no longer live together in relationship part in ways that allow them not to destroy each other, and children that are the product of the relationship or involved in the relationship, but in ways that allow them to preserve some integrity with each other? For almost everybody, that and the process of providing services or being in a relationship with people with histories of trauma means a couple of things. First of all, it means self-awareness. There's that emotional intelligence skill. It means recognizing, when am I tired? When do I have the capacity to be around people around whom I have difficulty being? It requires recognizing the boundaries that I have. If I am overtired, can I really be in relationship to someone in a way that's helpful or meaningful to both of us? Now, if you're a skilled helper who provides services and you're seeing 30 people a week, check that out, because you may not have much left at the end of the day, or certainly at the end of the week. How can you adjust your schedule so that you are preserving yourself in the process? It also means self-regulation. It means if you find your feelings rising, if you find that particular burning hot feeling coming up in your belly that says, I'm about to get mad, how can you adjust your feelings? If you're not self-aware, you can't self-regulate. What do you do with the feelings that you do have? How do you deal with them when they pop up? There's some really interesting research that shows where people tend to feel feelings in their bodies. And if you grew up not feeling, well, you might not recognize that that particular hot sensation across your chest is usually associated with anger. And if it's cold, it's usually associated with fear. How do you turn up your happy when you need to be a little bit happier, and there's really not much going on in the situation about which you should be unhappy. All of these tools help you be in relationship with people with histories of trauma in ways that are more effective.